Hello everyone. Today's presentation topic is Deadlock Prevention in the Payment Channel Network, and the presenter, Bo Xun Zhang, a first-year master student in computer science. Our outline is divided into 6 sessions. First, we will introduce the architecture and principles of the PCN Payment Channel Network. Then we will discuss the deadlock issue in PCN channel. To address this deadlock problem, the author uses the DEPR method to improve the deadlock situation in PCM networks. We will explain the operation process of the DEPR method and then explore the performance of the DEPR algorithm when integrated into the PCM network. Finally, we will conclude the presentation. Part 1. Introduction. The Payment Channel Network (PCN) is a Layer 2 solution for the Bitcoin network designed to address scalability issues and solve the problem of slow transaction speed and high score. The Bitcoin system can only process about 7 transactions per second, while Visa can handle up to 2,500 transactions per second. Compared to Visa, Bitcoin transaction speed is very slow, and with the increased number of participants in the Bitcoin market, solving the issue of transaction speed and scalability has become essential. The architecture of the network can be divided into several layers. Hardware layer. This is the lowest layer responsible for receiving information through hardware. Layer 1, Layer 0, TCP/IP. This layer is responsible for establishing no connection. Layer 1, P2P. This layer handles decentralized routing, forming a peer-to-peer network. Transactions are recorded on the main blockchain and are secured through smart contracts that set simple transaction conditions. Every action is recorded on the blockchain, making this approach highly secure. However, this method also results in high transaction costs and slow speeds, as each transaction requires recreating a new block on the blockchain, resulting in significant overhead. Layer 2, PCN network. This layer helps reduce the burden on the main blockchain layer 1 by conducting transactions off-chain. Private transaction channels are established, and both parties can freely exchange Bitcoin by signing a hashtag contract (HTLC). Therefore, transaction information doesn't need to be recorded on the main blockchain each time, which improves network scalability and reduce transaction fees. Only when the transaction is completed is the information revealed on the main chain, reducing the load on the blockchain. Bidirectional fund flow. Payment channels allow funds to flow bidirectional between two participants, like Alan and Ariana. Fund contribution and channel capacity. The total contributions determine the channel capacity, which represents the total transaction amount for that channel. Facilitation of microtransactions. Alan and Ariana can make microtransactions without recording each one on the blockchain, reducing the blockchain load. Termination of the channel. When the channel is closed, the final transaction is recorded on the blockchain, and funds can only be used after the channel is officially closed. Multi-hop transaction. If two nodes don't have a direct channel, funds can transfer through intermediary nodes. Cora example, Cora can use Alan and Ariana to send funds to DEX. Necessity of routing protocols. Routing protocols are needed to determine the path of for multi-hop transaction, ensuring smooth transfers, atomicity, and security. Multi-hop transaction must be atomic, either, either fully success or fail, to prevent funds from being lost. Hash standard contracts (HTLC). HTLC ensure atomicity and security by locking funds until specific conditions are met within a time frame. Example, Cora need to send 4 units to DEX but lack direct channels. She split the 4 units into 2 unit transfers via Ellen and Dario completing the transaction even with limited resources. Part 2. Deadlock issue in PCN. A case 1 has deadlock. There are 3 results and 3 transactions. T1 holds 2 instances of R3 and waits for 3 instances of R1. T2 holds 3 instances of R1 and waits for 2 instances of R2. T3 holds 2 instances of R2 and waits for 2 instances of R3. This situation creates a circular waiting pattern where each transaction is waiting for a resource held by another transaction, leading to a deadlock. Case 2, no deadlock. There are 2 resources and 3 transactions. T1 holds 2 instances of R3 and waits for 3 instances of R1. T2 holds 3 instances of R1 and waits for 1 instance of R3. T3 holds 1 instance of R3 and does not wait for any resource. In this case, T3 can complete its transaction first, releasing R3. Then R3 can be allocated to T2, which can complete its transaction. Finally, R1 can be allocated to T1, allowing it to complete its transaction. Therefore, all transactions can be completed and no deadlock occurs. Nodes represent users are interconnected in a system. As the number of transactions increase, the number of cycles also increase. While not every cycle necessarily results in a deadlock, the likelihood of deadlock occurring grows as the number of cycles increase. This is because with more cycles, the chance of the circular dependency, where transactions are waiting on each other, also rise, which can lead to deadlock situation. A lemma lock is a special node used in certain routing protocols to assist in routing decisions. This node has had connected activity, meaning that many other nodes pass through it when sending file. Lemma nodes are typically choosing as reference points in the network and are responsible for storing routing information to other nodes. As a central node in the network, the lemma node allows other non-lemma nodes to only store routing information to the lemma without needing to know the entire network topological. This reduces the storage requirements for each node. In lemma-based routing, all routing requests typically need to pass through the lemma node. This allows the use of the lemma node global spanning tree to find the shortest path. However, this can lead to overuse of the channel resource around the lemma node, potentially affecting the overall efficiency of resource utilization in the network. Speedy algorithm. The algorithm uses prefix embedding routing technology. The routing is static, meaning once the path is selected, it does not adjust dynamically based on change in the network condition. If a shortest path exists, the transaction will follow it. Otherwise, the transaction will pass through a lemma node. Due to its steady nature, when network conditions change, such as link saturation or failure, the speedy algorithm may not be able to effectively adapt, increasing the risk of deadlock. Empty routing relies on assigning each node a coordinate within an empty space. These coordinates are then used to determine the shortest path for routing decision. Each node forwards transaction to its neighbor whose coordinates are closest to the destination coordinate. This helps to avoid unnecessary hop, thus improving routing efficiency. Wherefore algorithm enables routing based on multi-hop Delaunay triangulation. Triangulation is a technique used to determine the position of an unknown point for calculating distance and angles from known points. In this context, it helps in routing by determining the best path based on the network topology. The algorithm uses static routing, meaning that once a path is chosen, it does not adapt and adjust dynamically to change in network conditions. Nodes in this algorithm only need to maintain connection information to a small node of neighbors, eliminating the need to rely on specific lemma node. Due to the static nature of the routing, wherefore I may struggle to effectively respond to network change, such as link saturation or failures. This can increase the risk of deadlock, as the algorithm doesn't dynamically adjust routes based on real-time network conditions. Empty routing. Although empty routing can improve routing efficiency, it still requires passing through certain hop paths known for routing. This reliance on hop paths can lead to rapid depletion of channel resource, causing congestion and efficiency in the network. The design of waveform aims to improve the utilization of channel resources by avoiding reliance on specific half-part nodes, thereby reducing bottleneck issues. In waveform, each node only needs to store minimal information about its neighbors, allowing for more efficient use of network resources. At the beginning, 15 nodes are interconnected in a peer-to-peer network. In this setup, each node establishes direct connection with other nodes, enabling communication and data transfer between them. Waveform algorithm using BFS breadth-first search to explain all connected nodes and check for deadlock. Let's assume there are two transactions being processed: T1 green light, T2 red light. Here S represents the sender and D represents the receiver. Each payment is 1 unit, and each edge has a capacity of 1 unit. The execution sequence is as follows: 22 to 40 T1, 9 to 32 T2, 40 to 11 T1, 32 to 40 T2, 11 to 9 T1, 40 to 11 T2, 9 to 32 T1. At this point, T1 cannot acquire the edge 9 to 32, and T2 cannot acquire the edge 40 to 11, resulting in a deadlock. Speedy algorithm. Two transactions are processed simultaneously. T3 orange line, T4 purple line. The execution sequence is as follows: 34 to 37 T3, 26 to 33 T4, 37 to 26 T3, 33 to 41 T4, 41 to 47 T4, 47 to 34 T4, 26 to 33 T3, 34 to 37 T4. In this case, T3 cannot acquire the edge 26 to 33, and T4 cannot acquire the edge 34 to 37, leading to a deadlock situation. In both algorithms, deadlock occurs when the transaction cannot acquire the necessary resource to process, resulting in a cyclic dependency where neither transaction can complete. Part 3: DPR method. Channel balance refers to the available funds in a payment channel that can be used for transactions as they progress. It is continuously updated because the channel balance decreases with each fund transfer. When the total amount of funds exceeds the available channel balance, the deadlock can occur. Lambda transaction threshold. The transaction threshold refers to the average transaction amount passing through a lemma node. It is used to assist in determining routing decisions. Specifically, the value of lambda helps to assess whether the channel's balance is sufficient to prevent deadlock situation. When the channel balance falls below lambda, it indicates that the channel may not be able to support new transactions, which increases the risk of deadlock. Therefore, the DPR algorithm utilizes lambda to monitor and manage the channel balance. ensuring there is sufficient balance available to route transaction and reduce the likelihood of deadlock. Initialization at the start of the algorithm, the lemma node set the value of lambda to 0. A breadth-first search (BFS) is used to construct a spanning tree on the payment channel network (PCN) graph G transaction per session. When the lemma log receives a multi-hop transaction from a neighbor node, it propagates the transaction and updates the value of lambda. Non-lemma log send path request to the lemma log to complete the transaction. Path response. When responding the path request, the lemma log uses the spanning tree to determine the path and send the path along with the update lambda value back. Simultaneously, the lemma log updates the channel balance CB on the edges of the routing tree. Channel balance monitoring. If the channel balance on any edge is below lambda, the lemma node will rebuild the spanning tree using the revised graph. The channel balance on edge UV is updated based on lambda with each path request. Routing for non-lemma log nodes. Upon receiving the path and lambda from the lemma log, non-lemma log check whether the target can be reached via a shortcut. Only when the path balance exceeds lambda, the transaction will follow the shortcut route. Otherwise, it will follow the path provided by the lemma log. Transaction process. Once the path is chosen, the non-lemma node initiates the transaction process. Path for performance evaluation. This chart shows the number of transactions per iteration under the scenario of 2000 nodes with a lemma log (LM) degree of 200 and a fixed network size. The number of transactions for speedy and waveform is significantly lower compared to the version that implement the DPR strategy, indicating that incorporating DPR includes transaction counts. Similarly, the transaction volume for speedy and waveform is clearly lower than that of the version using DPR, demonstrating that adding the DPR strategy increases the transaction volume. Although the path lengths without the DPR are shorter than those with it, the difference in path length is minimal. The increase in path length is negligible and can be considered almost insignificant. Figure A shows that under different network sizes, the number of transactions for both algorithms increases after incorporating DPR. Figure B shows that under different network sizes, the transaction volume for both algorithms also increases after incorporating DPR. Figure C shows that under different network sizes, the path length for both algorithms increases after incorporating DPR, but the increase is minimal and can be considered negligible. Part 5 Conclusion. With the development of payment channel network, it has become essential to use decentralized routing strategy to address the scalability issues of centralized algorithms, existing decentralized routing method face deadlock problems during concurrent transactions, and dynamic edges may exacerbate deadlock. This study proposed the DPR strategy to reduce deadlock in current decentralized routing algorithm through testing the DRL simulator. DPR increased the transaction volume of the speedy algorithm by 41%, while the Weibo algorithm sees a 27% improvement. Part 6 Reference. This is my reference. Thank you everyone for listening.